Alright guys, today we're doing legs. This is the first session back from Christmas break. You know, I normally take off December and January and just do stuff around training because I think it's like important to, you know, enjoy life and experience other things rather than just the gym the whole year. I put like most of my work into the gym like for the majority of the year, and then around those months I just enjoy myself. But yeah, today we're doing legs. I think we've lost quite a bit of strength. I am going to be starting off with some squats, still doing low volume training, just high intensity. So I'm going to take you through that. Hopefully we get this done in under an hour, but yeah, keen to get this done and see where my strengths are after, you know, about a month of inconsistent training and everything like that, but we'll get straight into it. That's not good. Those 8 really poor reps. Quads are a bit shaky. Probably should have started with a lighter weight after this much time off, but I'm gonna wait a little bit and then try hit that again. So I rested about 3 minutes with that. Yeah, about to be 3 minutes. I don't want to take too long of a rest break, you know, 5 minutes and stuff, but yeah, trying to keep that hypertrophy range. So yeah, going like as slow as I can on the way down. You fatigue really fast. The other set I was just trying to do like pumping reps. This one going slower, so I only got like 4 or 5 just then. So that's going to be the base for where we start this program, and yeah, build up from here. So I've waited a minute, and now I'm going to be going to do 100. So that was 140, dropping a 20 each side, going slow again, trying to pause. I'm just using this as a baseline to see where I'm at with everything, and I'm going to just use these weights and build up from here just for the reps. That's going to be my progressive overload. But this is my 3rd set. We're 4 minutes and 42 seconds into the workout. Like I said, I like intensity. I don't always take short rest breaks. That's failure, man. You'd be surprised, like 3 seconds holds at the bottom, how much less you're gonna get. But yeah, the activation. Anyway, I'm not talking about all the science stuff. Talk about that after the lift. All right, warming up to 3 plate RDLs. I'm gonna do that to failure. And then I'm gonna perform what's called a 50% set, which is I'll go to failure on the RDLs for as many as I can get. And then I'm going to wait 1 minute of rest and then go to failure again. And the idea behind this is because I've induced a lot of muscle fatigue, my body is going to need to recruit more muscle fibers to be able to, and like have a higher amount of motor recruitment. I'm not going to go into all the science right now, to mitigate the fatigue and actually help me. And over time, this is supposed to, according to the literature, stimulate more hypertrophy. Either way, it is adding intensity to the training session, and I believe that's one of the most important factors for building hypertrophy. Remember, I'm not going for just strength. I'm trying to go for muscle size as well, and I want to build some size on these pins. That took it out of me. 41 seconds. If I can get half of what I did just then with this minute, that's really good. I'll probably get 2 to 3 because it really took it out of me. But setting the goal for half. If we get 2 or 3, we'll build up from it next week. Anyway, 22 seconds. So just warmed up on this. This is the horizontal leg press. Just trying to go as slow as I can on the eccentric. Still trying to find my weight on this, but yeah, just the goal is to go as slow as I can. Go to failure, do another 50% set. And keep the quads as narrow as possible. So I got 3, I'm going to drop that. That was the full stack, got a bit overconfident. Drop it by 2 plates, go again. Oh, no. Crazy. My quads are toast from the squats. This doesn't normally happen. Crazy. Yeah. All right. I'll wait a minute. All right. Aim to get 5 or 4 of this, and I'll be happy. Yeah, on here again, but doing calves now. And I don't really want to give advice on calves because I don't like giving things that I haven't done before. I've trained calves for years, but I haven't got size. But there have been new studies that have been recently published, and I know I told you guys I don't really like much of the science, but the lengthened position, both at the bottom and the top, I've been getting DOMs from that. So when I do this, I'll hold for 5 seconds at the bottom and then hold for 3 seconds at the top, and then just explode in that middle range, trying to get as much power into it as I can. And I've been getting mad DOMs from that. So I'll just start with that and see how we go. And when I hold at the top, I roll my big toe in. Three. Alright, I'm going to be doing about 4 sets of this. I'm not going to film the whole thing because it'll get boring, but you get the idea. Holding for 5 seconds at the bottom, exploding, holding for 3 seconds at the top. When you push at the top, roll your big toe in, so you're pushing more of that center part of the heel. You'll feel a lot more activation on your calf, and I guarantee you're going to have DOMs tomorrow. If I grow, I don't know, but we'll see over the next like 8 to 12 weeks. Yeah, so I ended up doing 4.5 sets, I'll call it, of those calves, just around the 7 to 10 rep mark. We're currently at 38 minutes and doing some glute hip adductions now. I like leaning forward so I can hit more of my actual glutes, and yeah, just going to failure on this as well. Just 1 set, do a 50% set with this as well, and that's all we're going to do for this exercise. And I like squeezing it. That's it. That was 1 minute. Alright, I'm going straight into this from the other glute exercise, so they're pretty fatigued, but I like pre-fatiguing them because you really feel the burn on this. You don't need to go heavy and use your lower back in an incorrect way. And like I said, with this one, I'm just trying to get as much blood in there as possible. Still going to failure, obviously, using almost like the same philosophy of intensity and heavy weight. This is heavy after doing all those other exercises, and we're 40 minutes into the session, so this will probably do me. I'll wait 1 minute and go again. All right, 50%. So cooked, man. So done. Nothing left. Got 1 more hamstring exercise and then we're done. Taking everything to failure, doing 50% sets on pretty much everything, between 3 minutes and 1 minute rest break. So 3 minutes for the first working set, 1 minute for the 50% part of the set. I promise you guys, you're gonna grow and you're gonna feel so much better on your CNS as well. You're gonna get stronger most weeks. I usually do a lying hamstring curl for this part of the workout, but because it's out of order, this is the one that I do on my second leg workout, but we're just gonna go again just a little bit lighter. So just putting on 30 kilos, gonna do holding for 3 seconds at the top for the isometric holds, and then go as slow as I can for the eccentric as well, and then just exploding at the top till failure, and then doing a 50% set of that. But I did forget to put on, sorry, it was meant to actually progressively overload, so sometimes you forget, and I'll put it on now. sorry, a 20, a 10, and a 5. Hold. Alright, got 7. I'm going to do the 1 minute rest now. So just going to try and do, last time I got 7, so if I get 3 of this, that'll be really good. Alright, now you wait. Alright, same thing. Got to match the reps, so 7 on this side to failure. Isometric holds and really long eccentrics. Hold on, it's jammed. Keeps jamming. These plates are broken. Got 1 more rep to do. So that last set was very annoying. These plates are all backwards, so it gets caught on the side of the thing. Yeah, I'll try to get 3. Hopefully it doesn't catch on there again. All right. Yeah, that concludes like the workout. I'm going to do some calves down there, like 3 sets back to back, just high repetitions of standing calf raises with a minute rest. I'm not going to film it though because it's very busy down there, so I don't want to put my camera in the way. But yeah, so we've finished the workout basically. I'll just get my phone. Yeah, so the workout, by the time I'm finished, that'll probably take me 5 minutes and it'll be an hour, so pretty good with having to set up the camera and everything. You guys should probably, without a camera, and when I don't have a camera, you'll get it done in about 45, 40. Yeah, it's pretty good, and I feel cooked, so we'll see how we go in the morning. Yeah, so this is the post-workout leg meal. It's pancakes. They're 1,100 calories, 54.5 grams of protein, 88 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fat. And you might think, whoa, those macros, and the GI index of this is very high because of the sugar content. Yes, I know, but there's no added sugar. It's all natural. The honey I use is raw and organic, and the peanut butter I've used is also raw and organic. The pancakes made out of 6 eggs, 50 grams of buckwheat, 30 or 40 grams of, I can't really remember, of coconut flour, cinnamon, and the condiments are just, yeah, honey and peanut butter. I do not eat this every single time I train legs. I try to only eat pancakes 2 to 3 times a week. Sometimes I do have it more, but I do really enjoy them. I try to have my the highest calorie food straight after training. They taste really good. I was always last year optimizing for, the healthiest foods, and it became a bit more, stressful. Last year I ate the healthiest I ever have my whole life. My whole life. I have never eaten healthier than what I ate last year. But my stress from losing dad was through the roof, and I have never been unhealthier my whole life. So I'd always go to the shops and I'd look around and I'd think, you know, I'd see what other people buy and stuff. And I just know that, because last year I went to the hospital a few times, you know, even at the start of this year I was in the hospital again because we got the phone back from the police, my dad's phone. So I went through the messages and old messages that I had with him because I don't have them on my new phone, and you know, it just triggered some things and remembered some stuff, and it triggered, yeah, an acute stress response within me, I think, which made me really unwell again. I had to go to the hospital because of my immune system and all this stuff, which I don't want to get into, but yeah, stress is like the worst. Stress really is a lot worse than anything else. You can eat and do everything right, but if you're stressing, it doesn't matter. Like nothing is going to mitigate stress. So yeah, it might look like I'm doing if it fits your macros. I don't. I eat so many fruits and vegetables. I try to get most of my calories through whole food sources. I had a Powerade today. I don't normally do that. I'll probably buy some electrolytes, but my point is this year I'm taking a different approach. Like I've said in previous videos, I tried eating, you know, predominantly vegan with all of the vegetables and everything like that. My testosterone levels were never lower, have never been lower. Also, my physique wasn't anywhere near as good. Not that I care so much about the outside, it is more about longevity and feeling good for me, but I do like going to the gym and everything. That's my favorite part of the day. Like for hobby-wise, it's my favorite part of the day. I don't want to make it my whole life, but it is my favorite part of the day. And yeah, so I started to feel a lot less energy and all of this stuff. Switched over to meat, tried to do carnivore for a little bit. I've never been more constipated. I'm not going to get into the science in this video because this is just like one of my gym vlogs, but constipation, you know, it's a very big indicator of poor health if you're always constipated. So the carnivore diet didn't work for me. Then I was trying something in between and it kind of worked, but I was still trying to get a lot of stuff organic, grass-fed and everything like that. I still try to get my meat and my chicken grass-fed and my eggs pasture-raised and, you know, all of that stuff. But I'm not going for all the organic vegetables and everything anymore. You know, I'm trying something where I freeze them, and I'm just like going for low stress now. And I feel pretty good. I don't feel any different to what I was when I was spending a fortune on organic ingredients and stuff like that. Yeah, I really think just keeping the stress low, and you know, I'd be cooking 2 to 3 times a week, doing big meal preps because I have to eat a lot. I'm normally eating around 4,000, like this is an oversized t-shirt, so it does make me look a bit smaller, but I normally eat around 4,000 calories a day, you know, 3-5 minimum. If I haven't hit 3-5, even on a rest day, I'll make sure I get to 3-5. It's not ideal to be under 3-5. So I'll eat all that. And obviously more sometimes, you know, on the weekends and stuff, I still enjoy going out, eating food and stuff like that. And this is what I'm saying to you guys. When you build muscle and you build enough of it, even as a natural athlete, it becomes like an asset because you can go out and enjoy things, and you're, you know, for physical wise, like appearance, it's not going to change all that much because, you know, if you have a bunch of restaurants or things that you need to go to for events on the weekend, or, you know, drinks with your friends or things like that, you can go out and eat all of that stuff if you plan ahead, because, you know, 4,000 to 5,000 calories, you don't even need to count it. You don't need to worry about counting it. If it's like obviously a one-off, like things like that. I haven't really counted calories my whole life. I've only just recently started because I've plateaued for a long time. So that's why I'm making these videos. It also holds me accountable. I'm going to try to upload as regularly as possible. This is just the gym side of things. These are juicy, man. They taste so good. Could eat these every day. But this would probably blunt my testosterone as well. I wouldn't eat these every single day because I do want to have longevity. And I don't just mean internally, I also like having, like, I'll be honest with you guys, like 100% raw and honest. I don't value looking good to the extent where it forms my identity, but I do value it somewhat because I think it just shows that you take care of yourself. You know, a lot of doctrines say, depending on what you read and where from, it is important to look after your body because you want it to last. You only have one. And so if I was to eat this every single day, it probably wouldn't be good. But because I'm trying to put on muscle and things like that, I think my body can handle it right now. I'll see the feedback it gives me and everything like that. But I do believe that you can, you know, when you're trying to put on muscle naturally, getting to 4,000 calories and stuff, sometimes when you eat so much volume, like, do you know how much rice I'd have to be to get these calories in? it'd be ridiculous. You know, that stretches your stomach, it does other problems. Once again, not going to go into the science of that, but I've researched a lot, and there's a lot of different avenues and stuff like that that you think might be better for you, but then it does this other adverse effect which ends up impacting you in a different way, just as negatively. So take a step back, relax, and just one thing I'll say is there are so many charlatans on the internet. You know, I bought into it too. First of all, like the veganism and stuff. You think that it's healthier for you. Look at the studies. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's healthier or it's not, but a lot of people say, oh, but it cures cancer and it does all this stuff, which it can. It definitely can. My girlfriend was a vegan for 8 years, and when I first met her, she was so avid about it, but not to the point where she was trying to convince me, but I just saw her go about her day and she'd be eating that way. She was passionate about it and everything like that. Not trying to convince me, just passionate in her own. And I started to think, hey, you know, when you're around someone like that all the time, it starts to rub off a bit. So I got curious. And for me, I'm someone that always likes interpreting data because, like I said, I have a psychology degree. And I wanted to interpret well, and I wanted to find out, is this actually better? So I went to go and make a PowerPoint presentation trying to decipher whether veganism was better than any other diet and stuff like that. And what I was finding was, and my intention, by the way, was to disprove her, like prove her wrong. And I couldn't, because I didn't have heaps of time to go completely into into an analysis of each independent study. So I would just read, you know, the abstracts and things like that to try and find, you know, is there ever any evidence that shows that this is wrong? And all of the evidence was overwhelming, and it was saying that, you know, it helps you with cancer, helps reduce inflammation, all of these things, like a plethora of benefits. But what I didn't realize until 3 years later, when I started to get, you know, my testosterone was going down. And it's not just because of the veganism that my testosterone was going down. I'm not saying that. It was obviously a majority of the stress from my dad, but it didn't help. I didn't realize that when you look into those veganism studies, they don't account for alcoholism in meat eaters. They don't account for what type of meat the meat eaters are eating. Like, is it grain-fed or grass-fed? You might say, oh, it doesn't make... No, it makes a huge difference between grain-fed and grass-fed, let alone fast food and all these different types of mincemeats and all this stuff. Like, it makes a gigantic difference. And none of that was controlled for. So I started to switch from the vegan charlatans to the carnivore charlatans. And they were saying that veganism, everything that veganism was saying it was good for, you know, all the vegetable benefits and all the just plant-based benefits, in a nutshell, carnivores were saying, well, hang on a second, all those list of foods that you just said are bad for all of these reasons because of anti-nutrients and the bioavailability of the food, meaning that, you know, with meat, it's more bioavailable to your body, so your body can absorb the nutrients and all the stuff better and all this stuff, right? And the vegans can't. And I was just watching these, you know, all these videos and reading all this research deep into the studies of these different ideas and everything. And what I've realized is, and I want to save you so many years of research and time wasted, is there is no right diet. There isn't. You know who have it the best? Christians. Seriously. You just pray over your food, you eat it. And I'm not saying, you know, be a Christian or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying don't stress so much about food. I'm not telling you to go out and eat Hungry Jacks every single day and stuff like that, but don't always just be persuaded by these charlatans. They're making so much money off their channel. That's why they have to literally say all these things. I am telling you, for someone that has been very vigorous in what they've done, I have gotten so much blood work done throughout all the process because I want to know for my body. And full veganism didn't work. Full carnivore didn't work. You have to find out something in between. There is such a real thing of epigenetics and, you know, ancestral inheritance where, you know, whatever your ancestors ate, you're probably going to be more inclined to be able to benefit from that and all of those things. So, you know, look at what your ancestors ate. You'll probably be somewhere around there and then just modify it as needed. But stress though, stress is the worst.
I've always had, like I've said in other videos, extremely fast metabolism, but now my thyroid has gone into what's called hypothyroidism, which is a slow metabolism. But amongst many other things, you know, I've experienced lethargy, fatigue, and all this stuff. And you might say, well, how do you have a slow metabolism if you are eating 4,000 calories a day and you've just got a stack of pancakes in front of you? Well, that's because of the muscle that I have. The more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism will be. And I can explain all the thermodynamics, all of that stuff, but I'm not going to right now. What I want to say is that if you build muscle, and I will go into, when I make my other videos, I will go into all the science of all this stuff, but the more muscle you have, it's an asset. It's an asset. I personally don't think that we're an obese society. I think we're an under-muscled society. You know, we only have until, like, let's say you reach your, for males anyway, you reach your peak muscle around probably 35 years of age. 40 is probably pushing it, probably a little bit before 40. And after that, it's downhill. It's just, you're trying, not in a negative way, but you're trying to maintain. And for my entire 20s, I've been extremely shredded. Not trying to big note myself or anything, but I don't know, I just put a very high value in being, you know, sub 10%, 12% year round. For whatever reason. Also because it was easy for me to maintain because of my genetics, right? I've been an ectomorph and very skinny naturally throughout life. I wish, not that, and I don't have any regrets actually, I don't have any regrets, but I should have probably put more emphasis on building more muscle like what I did when I was younger. Because most of this size I built when I was 20 years old. Like my 21-year-old self was a lot bigger than what I am now. I'm trying to get back to that. I did 100% naturally, but with a lot of food, a lot of, you know, questionable methods. I didn't eat healthy. By the way, it was a very big dirty bulk. I'll get into that another time of what I actually ate to get to this size and everything like that. But what I'm saying is set goals of what you want your body to be like in the future and how you want it to be. If you just want to be fit, that's fine. But if you're in your 20s and 30s, like you got to kind of act, because the longer you leave it, the harder it is going to be to put on size, and that's 100% sure, for sure. Like I've been saying, I've used my body as an experiment for about the last 2 years, just trying all these different types of splits between full body. And I don't mean just full body 3 times a week. I mean full body every day training, full body training everything 5 times per week. You know, all these different, from these different gurus and all this stuff. Went full into the science, again, for frequency, rest breaks, rep ranges, tempo, all of this stuff, reps in reserve, how often I should go to failure and all of these things. And in a nutshell, guys, you know, stretch related hypertrophy, just everything I was trying in between sets. And I didn't just do these for like, oh, I'll try this for a week or I'll try this for a week. No, I tried it for the proper blocks, everything at a minimum of 8 weeks. Most of them were for 12 weeks. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, I know that people say that DOMs do not equate to more gains. And whilst that is true, I still believe that if you're sore the next day, it is a good sign. I'm not saying that you're going to have more gains, but I'm going to say that it's a good sign. And I have more DOMs every single time I go to failure. And in comparison to any other way of training, it's from failure. And I have that plus more when I do low volume, because I go harder. When you do low volume training, it's really good because you know you've got one set to make it count. If you're doing a dumbbell incline press, you want to build that shelf, you're not going in there knowing that you're doing 4 sets of 12, 8 to 12 reps. Oh, you know, push this one out, I've got 3 more. No. You got 1, and you have to make that 1 count. So you push yourself to it. And there is all this stuff that I'm going to get into because like I said, this is for naturals. I've never taken gear or anything. But what I will say is I'm a big fan of going to failure, but you don't need to go to failure every single set if your rep range is in the right way. Because if you're doing, you know, something between say 3 or 5 to 8 reps, and then you do the 50% thing to make sure that, or a drop set to make sure you're still in the hypertrophy range, you don't need to always go to 100% failure. You can go to 1 RIR, like 1 rep in reserve, or potentially even 2 reps in reserve, because the heavy load makes up for the lack of stimulus of what you would have had with a lighter weight, which is why you have to go to failure when you're doing lighter weights. Like if you're doing like a 15 rep range or a 12 rep range, I'd say, yeah, you need to be failing on that 12th rep or that 15th rep. But if it's if it's heavier, you don't need to go all the way to failure. And that's what the literature is now showing. And it's what I have seriously noticed benefits on. So much more time efficient too, because amongst all the literature, the one concept that makes so much sense to me is the stimulus to fatigue ratio. And the more fatigue you get over time, it does build up. Like you can't go to failure every single day and train 7 days a week, because yes, there is data to show that some muscles take 48 hours to recover and all this stuff, but do you think you're just using your muscles when you're working out? That's not the only thing you're using. You're taxing your CNS. And even if your muscles have overcome the fatigue and have replenished and are ready to go again, your CNS might not have, especially if you've gone to failure. And so if you've gone to failure and your muscles have recovered, but your CNS hasn't, but you decide to train anyway, well, one of the biggest predictors of strength is CNS and how well you utilize it. That's why powerlifters only train 3 days a week, because they need their CNS to recover. It's not necessarily the muscles. They're training between 3 to 5 reps for a lot of the time. And so you're not really getting the DOMs that you'd get from a bodybuilding standpoint. You need the CNS to recover. And so if that CNS hasn't recovered and your goal, and I'm speaking strictly for trying to put on muscle, right? And your goal is to put on size. Well, what's one of the biggest proponents on putting on size? It's progressive overload. And if you can't progressively overload because your CNS hasn't recovered as much as what it was the session before, well, you're going to be spinning your wheels. And a lot of people, that's what happens. You just spin your wheels for a month and they think somehow magically in a few more weeks' time that something's going to happen. If you have literally plateaued, and I mean, you haven't gotten up in reps, like maybe you haven't gone up in weight, but if you go up in reps, that's still progressive overload. But if you haven't done that, you haven't put more weight on the bar, the scales haven't changed, guys, it's not going to just magically happen in another month. Something needs to change. And I'm almost guaranteeing a lot of people overtrain, especially if you're a natural. You'll be so surprised at how little it takes, like in terms of how many sets when you go to failure it takes to get the maximum amount of gains. And even the literature now is showing that it's, you know, it's pretty negligent after about 6 sets. 6 sets per body part per session. And sometimes 6 sets, like that's the top end. Some sessions I only do 3 sets, 4 sets, and it's all I need. And I've had so much growth from it, so much. It's come back so quickly. It's just crazy. It's crazy, and how quick you get, and how quick you get strong as well. And you know, the more stronger you are when lifting in the rep ranges of hypertrophy, the more muscle you're going to put on. Simple. When you're watching this, you're going to see, I'm going to be doing a lot of the same things day in, day out. And that's how you put on muscle, because you need progressive overload, right? You need to lift more weight than what you did previously, or more weight and more total weight. So that could be adding an extra rep or whatever. And as you get bigger, you need to eat more food. You need to rest, you need to recover, you need to get your sleep. And over time, you will get bigger. Personal trainers though, they'll show you all these real weird exercises. Like I love, like, you know, when you're seeing someone go like on an incline press and going like this, like, oh yeah, my chest, it feels so much better like that. Yeah, but are you going to failure? It's a ding dong press, man. You can't, how are you tracking that? It's just, It's a way to get views is what I'm saying. And then, you know, a lot of personal trainers will say, all right, this week we're doing this, and then they'll change the exercises and change them again. They'll change them every week, and there's no way to, like, you're not tracking it. You're not tracking your progressive overload. It's really simple to put on a muscle week. We're literally just picking things up, putting them down, lifting more than last week and eating more than last week, and trying to sleep as much as we can. That, like, or as if not as much, but as efficiently as possible. That is literally the end of it. Keeping hydrated, you know. People have overcomplicated this so much. It doesn't need to be like, you see all these different exercises, influencers say like, oh, my chest never grew until I started doing this one, or my side laterals never grew until I put cuffs on. It's like, no. It's all a scam. Every single one of it. Don't get your information all the time from people that haven't done what you're wanting to do. Like what my last video was about. Go and look at people that, and I'm not saying just me, but I'm saying other people, look at what they've done, if they've done what you want to do. And a lot of the influencers have taken SARMs, steroids, and all these things. I have never taken that. I never want to take that because for a lot of reasons, which I'll make another video about, but it's just, I don't want to take advice from that because you haven't done what I'm trying to do. You haven't. So yeah, you might have some tips, you know, us, like Dorian Yates, right? He got huge. He got so big on steroids. Just because he hasn't done what I'm going to do, does that mean I don't listen to him? No, not completely. Of course not. I've taken a lot of tips from him. He knows a lot. But I'm saying I'm not going to apply everything that he's done for myself because we're in different situations. I'll take some of it, take it with a pinch of salt, but I'm not going to take all of it. I'm taking a long time to get these pancakes down, but just on a small note, I do want to talk a little bit about why I haven't wanted to take steroids. Just so, you know, all of you guys are aware, in SARMs. Now, SARMs is really easy to talk about. I'm going to go and make a full in-depth video on this, and it's probably going to scare a lot of people that have taken SARMs, but I'm doing this to help. I'm always coming from love. One of my closest friends in high school used to sell SARMs, and a lot of guys that took it, and I knew a lot of dudes that took it in high school as well, they used to just like blow up, and I wanted that, man. Like, I just wanted it. Getting stronger every week. I just remember this one guy, he was starting on 80 kilo bench, and this is in high school, and by 6th week he was doing 100 for reps. 20 kilos in 6 weeks in high school. Like, my mind was blown. This was from Australian. I always wanted to do it, but my dad would, like I said, I looked up to my dad with the gym because he got 19.5-inch arms naturally at 6'4.5". And so I looked up to him in a lot of ways, and he told me there's no long-term research on it. So there's no point, like, what's the point? Who's to say you're not going to wake up with a brain aneurysm in 20 years time? Like, you don't know. You don't know anything. So that's pretty much in a nutshell why I never took SARMs and why I haven't, because there's no long-term research. And now they're starting to see that a lot of them can lead to certain types of cancer and stuff like that. So I'm so thankful that I didn't take it. If SARMs have a higher propensity of leading to cancer, which I will show you the literature afterwards, if they can lead to cancer, then that technically means that cell degeneration, right, happens more frequently. And if cells are degenerating more frequently, well, what does that mean? That means that you're aging faster. I don't want to age faster. I'm all about anti-aging and longevity. I'm not saying that I want to be some bloke that lives to 120. I'm just saying anti-aging. People always say, oh, I don't care. You know, the last 10 years, I don't want to be alive after 10. I'm not talking about that. What if you were 80? What if you were 80 but your bio age was like 60 and you were still able to lift, like so many of these 80-year-olds that I follow and stuff like that, because they've looked after their bodies. I don't want to take something that makes me look good in my 20s when I'm, you know, 40 or 50, I'm going to be old and saggy and not being able to move and stuff. It's not the point. That's one of the reasons why I haven't taken testosterone or any other steroids as well, because there is an inverse relationship between taking those androgens at a young age and longevity. If you take testosterone now, your chance of cardiomyopathy and all of that stuff, like a poor heart health and all this stuff, skyrockets. It just does, let alone your kidney function, liver function, and all these things that your body needs to use. So that's why when you see guys and they take them when they're in their 20s, like at the start, you know, when someone does their first cycle, they look killer because they still look young, you know, they're looking really jacked, they're looking good. But by the second, I've seen it so many times, by the second and third cycle, what starts to happen is, we're not saying that people get acute kidney failure and stuff like that just after 2 to 3 cycles. Some people are idiots how they do it, and they do get it because they just take grams and grams of this stuff. But what happens is these things here, like, they get so deep, these dimples, and your pores around your skin get so big. And then you start to get acne, and if you have a predisposition, which I do, to male pattern baldness, you're going to go bald sooner. You know, I'm already going to have to go to Turkey at some point in the future. The biggest reason, like just being 100% honest, why I didn't take it when I was in my 20s, I didn't really think about kidney stuff and liver function and all that when I was in my 20s. I'm being honest with you right now. But I know that I would go bald. And the second thing is, I've always had extremely high testosterone, always, from high school. And when I was in high school, because of how I went through puberty, I started to get like a little bit of puff around my nipples. Now, I've taken heaps of shirtless photos in there on my Instagram and stuff like that, not to show off, but you know, to say kind of I know what I'm talking about sometimes with lifting, not in an up myself way at all. But what I'm saying is, like, you can see on there, you can't see any gyno. You can't. Most people cannot see it. Okay, I know when I feel it that if I was to take juice, I would get gynecomastia. I'm almost certain of it. I'm almost 100% certain of it because I knew how my nipples are. I've done hundreds of hours of research on this, and I really weighed up the pros and cons of everything. But besides the physical aesthetics of puffy nips and going bald, the other thing is, and you know, the cardiomyopathy, the liver failure, the kidney failure, and all of that. Above all else, sorry, it's a bit dry now. It's taken too long to eat. Above all else, you're taking it, like, break it down to the core. Why are you taking steroids? Like, ask yourself, like, if you are taking it or if you're considering it, why would you want to take steroids? If you go deep enough, now there is probably 0.001% of you that have supreme genetics. Now, a lot of people say, Will, you have really good genetics. No. My genetics would never make it to Mr. Olympia. They wouldn't. I can put on muscle a little bit easy. I can maintain leanness and stuff. I can look aesthetic. Wouldn't be Mr. Olympia though. Supreme genetics are one thing. You have supreme genetics, and then you have people with supreme genetics that are also hyper responders to steroids. So you have supreme genetics who could take it and they might not respond that well to the gear, and then you have supreme genetics with hyper responders that when they take steroids, they actually like completely blow up, because steroids don't affect everyone the same. There are hyper responders, non-responders, you know, there are all these different things, and you never know. Now, there's a point, like back to my point, there's probably 0.001% that are supreme genetics and hyper responders, and they're taking it because they want to make a career in bodybuilding. For like Dorian Yates and all the rest of them. Now, speaking of Dorian Yates literally says so many times in his interviews, if you're not going to try to be Mr. Olympia or some, you know, Olympia of sort, there is no point taking steroids because of the downside. As soon as he stopped Mr. Olympia, do you think he kept taking him? No. Look at him. He's so agile, flexible, healthy now. And he is lucky. A lot of the other guys, they didn't get so lucky. You know, people say, oh, Arnold's still around. Yeah, but look how many bypass surgeries he's had on his heart. He's had money to fix himself. Look at poor Ronnie Coleman. Look at a lot of other ones that are dead. There are like hundreds that have died. It's not worth it. So, when you take away that 0.001%, the rest of us, that when we're thinking of taking it, this is what I was doing. Just got to be honest with yourself. It's because you're insecure. It's literally because you're insecure and you think that this body, you're going to make this body that you want to build an idol, and you're going to make it part of your identity. But the thing is, you have to come off at some point, and you're going to start deflating, and you're going to go. So what's going to happen is you got all this size and muscle and your body's responding, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to feel like Superman. You'll be able to get 5 hours of sleep, charge in the gym, go out on the weekend, do whatever you want, look killer all the time, feel energetic, your brain, all this stuff, all these things, but you're going to have to come off. And when you do, you're going to feel worse than when you started. So you're going to go from up, this is where you started, you're going to go up here, and then you're going to come down here. And this is going to feel normal, because once you've done it for 12 weeks, which is, you know, the minimum cycle, and you're going to habitually feel normal up here, and then you're going to drop. And that's why people that come off steroids have really high depression rates, suicide, and all this stuff. The second part of that statement is also, you did it because you're insecure and you wanted to look good. Let's break that down for a second. All right, you look good for a few months, maybe a few years. Your skin starts to get older. You start to aggressively age yourself, aggressively. All you can rely on now is what your muscles look like. The first point of why you started taking it was because you were insecure of how you looked. You wanted to make yourself look better or more masculine, more dominant. You start taking them when you're in your 20s, your 30s, your teens, whatever. When you hit 50, do you think that you're just going to magically not care about how you look and feel anymore? For most people, that's not the case. You still will. It's going to be like you, as a high school student, say in year 12, saying, when I was in reception, I was the strongest kid. And then in high school, you're nothing compared to everyone else. People are going to think, so? And what I'm saying is, you're doing it for the validation of others. Do when you look at just yourself, not to be insular and narcissistic, but I'm saying for the benefit of yourself, it doesn't make sense to take them, because when you hit 50 and you're surrounded by other people that have done it naturally, their health markers are in check, they're smashing the gym, man. Like, yeah, my dad took his life, but in terms of the gym at 53, he was strong, man. He was still going. Like, when I show you guys photos, you'll freak out. He was strong as you can keep going into your 70, 80 if you take care of yourself. With steroids, you are aggressively aging yourself. There are a few predictors and markers that you can look at for aggressively aging, and I'm not going to get into all the science right now because this is just a gym video, but one of them is telomerase. And if you look at the relationship between anabolic steroids in excessive use, which is for bodybuilding, and telomerase, guys, you're not going to want to take it, because when you're 50, you're going to look 80. Not 80, but probably 70, you know, that's not over-exaggeration. And it's terrible. You know, there are people like Greg Doucette and these other guys that are getting older that are still taking it. Yep. Do you know how smart those blokes are? They are the smartest at what they're doing. He's literally got a degree in kinesiology. They are so intelligent, but they've still aged themselves. Greg Doucette does not look young for his age. He doesn't. His muscles look great. He's got a fantastic physique, but he doesn't look good for his age. And he's spent so much money on his hair and his face and all this. What I'm saying is he's still aged himself. And give it another 10 years. You know, momentum builds. There's the compounding effect. From this point right now, this day, this video, when you're watching it, in 7 years' time on this exact day, you're going to have a completely different body to what you have now. Everything about you, there's not going to be one cell in you that is the exact same as what it was today. But what is going to happen is the cells that you put in that are in you today are going to photocopy and become a little bit worse, like every time you picture you photocopy a piece of paper 1,000 times, the 1,000th copy isn't going to look as good as the first one. But whatever you're putting into your body that whole time while it's photocopying is what's going to predict how you're going to be later. And so if you're feeding yourself, there's only health and poison. If you're giving yourself health, you've got a pretty high likelihood that photocopier is going to print some pretty good papers out. You know, your cells are going to look pretty good. in 7 years' time. That's why you can anti-age. There are people that might have been photocopying something bad for a few years and then they change everything and they start getting rid of those cells. That's how with people with some diseases, they get rid of them after 7 years because they've changed their diet, they've changed inflammation, they've changed stress, they've changed all these things. What I'm saying is if you're injecting steroids for a long enough time horizon, those photocopiers, it's going to get worse and worse and worse every copy. In 7 years' time, it's going to look a lot worse. So Greg just said, and all those guys, they look good right now. Maybe Greg is taking just TRT doses, which is different, so he might be all right. But the rest of them, nah, they won't. Scientifically, they can't be. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. It's not worth it. You're going to be the weak. Like you might look strong, you might feel strong for a long time, but eventually you'll be the weakest, and you'll care, and that'll get you. You have a lot of life to live after 60. Especially with new age medicine, we're living longer and longer. People don't think about that. You might just think, oh, I just want to have a good first 6 years. But what about that other 20 or 30 that you have to live? Or 40 even with new medicine. Imagine having to live 40 years debilitated because of everything you did before. It's not going to be worth it. You'll sit in regret. So what I'm saying is, that's one of the reasons why I don't take steroids. You age yourself, look uglier, health goes crap, got so many negative health things. It's not worth it. Don't do it, guys. Stay natural. You can get a ripper physique naturally. And people will question that you're on steroids all the time. But it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of effort. And some people, just being real, lack discipline, get lazy, and want to be fast tracked. It's not how it always works. So at the end of the day, do whatever you want to do, but I'm just here to help. And I have had a lot of close friends, some best friends that have taken steroids. And I'll tell you this, not one of them doesn't regret taking it. Not one of them. Mates that had predisposition to male pattern baldness are bald. Or have extremely receding hairlines and are on the way to being bald. Every single one of them looks so much older than what they are. Even the ones that have switched it around and have tried to start reverse aging, they've still got all this messed up acne skin on their face with holes and stuff. It's just, every single one of them says it's not worth it. Oh yeah, when I was 22, I was massive. Like, nobody, do it for yourself. Like, stop living for everyone else. If you're thinking like, oh yeah, I'm going to tell everyone I was massive when I was 22, okay? Nobody cares, bro. Nobody cares anymore. You're 29, 28, 27, 25. Like nobody, do you know what I mean? It's just live for yourself, do yourself right, treat yourself good. And I don't mean to get all biblical and stuff, but there's a reason why psychology, the Bible, and a lot of other doctrines all agree on one thing, and that's treating your body as a temple. You know, when someone that is in extreme despair of depression, one of the things a clinical psychologist is going to ask is, what does your day look like? And one of the reasons why they ask what the average day looks like is because they want to find out, are they moving? Are they doing physical exercise? Why? Because physical exercise is treating your body as a temple, because we know that above everything but sleep, exercise is one of the fastest ways to reverse age, anti-age. But forgetting all of that, improving up here, improving mood, and doing all of that because of the chemical process, the endorphins and everything that's released when during exercise. And so treating your body as a temple is the most important thing you can do, and taking steroids is not doing that. So just don't. Treat it as a temple. Do everything you can to be as healthy as possible, and your life will be so much better because you're going to have so much resilience. Well, that's the other thing. The more you exercise, the more resilience you're going to have. Like, it comes part and part. You'll be so much stronger because exercise does build mental fortitude. They've proven that. And if you train hard, you are going to have resilience. There is a transference effect from exercise to life. There is 100%. So the harder you can push yourself physically, I'm not saying to go out and kill yourself like David Goggins, but it does help. And that's yeah, that's why it's a big proponent in my life, and it has helped me with dad so much. Like I said in my other video, like it's helped tremendously. I'm not saying that you need to go train 4 or 5 times a week, but you know, 3 times, a couple walks, it's going to do you a lot of good over your whole life. It's going to reverse age you. It's going to add a lot more quality to your life in terms of health, movability. That creates joy. Wait until your body, and I hope it never happens, but for me, because of the stress of dad, my body did shut down for a little bit. Once you come out from that, it's the little things in life that you become grateful for. And when you have your health, life is good. When you've lost your health and you've had all these mental battles and all this stuff, like dealing with suicide and all this stuff that I've told you about, you've got your health, you focus on what's good, and life can be still pretty good. Not pretty good, it can be really good. Even after all that, because you build the resilience up. Anyway, this video has gone very long. And I've taken a very long time to eat these pancakes, so I'm gonna leave it here. But that's leg day, boys.